KWT slaying.
What if the truth was never lost, only buried? For centuries, historians, scholars, and even colonial records have confirmed what many tried to silence. The original Israelites were a black people scattered across continents but never erased. Their skin was dark, their customs ancient, and their covenant with Yah eternal. This journey uncovers how the Spanish and Portuguese Jews, described as dark-skinned, Semitic, shared one bloodline. Chased by the Inquisition, many fled to Portugal, then beyond, preserving their heritage across borders. But the story doesn't end in Iberia. Across from West Africa, black Jews built synagogues, kept Torah, and passed down the laws of Moses. The Limba in southern Africa, the Igbo in Nigeria, the Beta Israel in Ethiopia, tribes across the continent boldly declared, "We are the children of Israel." These aren't isolated claims. These are voices rising from the dust, connected by oral histories, Torah traditions, and the unbroken rhythm of their identity. No such legacy exists among European Jews. No centuries of tribal witness, no matching traditions, no trace of ancient covenant keeping. Maps, art, and archaeology tell the same story. The Israelites were scattered, enslaved, and displaced, but never lost. The world always knew who they were. Their presence was visible, their customs alive, their story intact. This book doesn't speculate. It confirms the Israelites were black, bound by blood, culture, and covenant to the Most High. This is not just history, it's restoration. The truth was never destroyed, only buried beneath centuries of deception. Get your copy of They Always Knew We Were Israelites today, available now on Amazon.com.
Shalom, my family. Shalom, how y'all doing today? Hope you're blessed and highly favored. So how y'all doing today? Y'all doing good? Give me one you're doing good. Give me two if you're not. Because I'm doing okay. I'm doing pretty good, really. You know, I was having this, I wouldn't say conversation, but I was having this little debate under one of the videos, and this brother say, well, you're Cobra. You know you're Cobra. You don't have no faith. You're Cobra. And I'm like, I'm the one been teaching all this stuff was going to happen like for what, about 10 years now? Right? So I'm expecting this stuff to happen, right? So it's like, well, who don't have faith? Because I'm believing the word. I'm believing what Yeshua said. I'm believing what Father Yahuwah says. I'm believing what the prophet says. So maybe it's you that don't have the faith, right? Because I believe the scriptures. Now, as we see what's happening today, right, there's a wholesale attack going on. And I'm not going to really cover that, but there's a wholesale attack going on the awakening. In my opinion, family, in my opinion, the awakening is being systematically dismantled. And when I say that, I mean from all avenues, from within, from without, Campianity, shout out to Brother Yexer, also to Christianity, to even heathens, right? People that are alcoholics, right? People who are accusing people of stuff with no evidence, right? People who are womanizers and people who have been accused of female trafficking, but y'all don't want to go there, right? I hope y'all know who I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? People accused of stuff and y'all believe them because they got a platform. I'm just saying. But you got to understand that the times that we're in right now, it is bad. It is bad. It is bad. And so, some of y'all might say, well, Jacoba, you don't have no faith. I don't know. If I tell you it's good, then I got faith. But if I tell you it's bad, I don't have faith. I'm just saying, right? I'm like, I don't get it, right? But once again, personally, I believe it's a dialectic. It is a means of manipulation. It's a means of control, right? To stop you from talking about certain things, right? Which is the reason why many of these platforms are being attacked. They're being lied against, right? It's like nobody ever asks you for your viewpoint, right? Or for the evidence, which we presented on some things, right? So it's like, okay, well, you believe what you want. That's where I'm at. You know why? I don't have to defend Tail Ministries. I don't have to defend myself. I don't have to defend Minister Tell You. Our work speaks for itself, right? You notice people don't, when they say stuff, they have no evidence, right? It's all ad hominem attacks. It's all lies. It's all manipulations by certain people who call themselves pastors, right? I'm like, really? Look, bottom line is, my viewpoint is, it's over. Look, you take that for what you want. You want to take it as a lack of faith? You could take it as a lack of faith, right? I just want to say, where's your track record? I got a track record over 10 years talking about this stuff coming, and it's here. So just so in case you didn't know, here's my mission. Part of my mission, let's say, Ezekiel chapter 3, verse 18. When I say unto the wicked, thou shalt surely die, and thou givest him not warning, nor speakest to warn the wicked from his wicked way, to save his life, the same wicked man shall die in his iniquity, but his blood will I require at thy hand. Okay. But if I warn him and he gets caught up in it, then it's on him, right? That's how I roll. I told you, right? I believe the scriptures. I believe the Most High. I know the Most High. I don't play. So, before you accuse me or this ministry, I'm going to tell you of anything, you need to look at our work, right? You need to look at the evidence. You need to make sure that you're not hindering the work of the Most High. Why? Because as my brother posted, the Most High loves us. And if he loves us and you attack us, watch out for what happened to you. Oh, yeah, I'm going to tell you what I'm expecting. I'm expecting to see many of my enemies fall by the wayside. It's already happening. I'm expecting all of them, big platforms, small platforms, medium platforms, wherever they at, I'm expecting them all to fall to the wayside. Why? Because this is the time of judgment. This is the time of judgment. So most of our people don't really understand. And we've talked about this before, but I'm going to say most people, they're not going to get it. They're never going to get it because the powers that be is too smart for most people. The dialectic is too smooth for most people. And unless you have the Holy Spirit to guide and reveal things to you, you will be deceived. Oh, yes, you will be deceived. Some people are going to tell you follow Mormon doctrine. Some people are going to tell you follow the sealed portions. Some people are going to tell you follow Christianity, which says the law is done away with, which is not. But you can't be saved by the law, right? Some people are going to tell you this. Somebody going to tell you that. Some people are going to tell you to go to the continent. Some people are going to tell you not to go to the continent. Some people are going to say people stole from you when they really didn't steal from you. Some people are going to be upset with people because they made a bad decision and then they want to get back at other people. There's so many things. So many things. And y'all have to understand the dialectic is severe, right? And it is in full force. The enemies are in the camp, outside the camp. The enemies surround us. Oh yeah, you don't have to believe me. When I tell you, like I said, go back to when we first started this ministry. Go look at all of our teachings on end time prophecy and see whether or not we didn't predict most of this stuff, if not all. Go ahead, check it out. Because I'm telling you what's next. I'm telling you what's next. And I'm not trying to bring no fear to you. I'm just saying I got a pretty good track record. I'm telling you what's next. Wholesale, don't get scared now, because y'all gonna say, but you scared me. You teaching fear doctrine. Let me read this again before I tell you what I think gonna happen. When I say unto the wicked, thou shalt what? Surely die. And thou givest him not warning. I'm giving some of y'all warning because some of y'all wicked. Nor speakest to warn the wicked from his wicked way. I'm trying to warn y'all. Stop lying, stop thieving, stop stealing, stop manipulating your family and your brothers and your sisters and the fellow Israelites. Stop it. Stop lying. Stop cussing. I'm like, some of y'all got problems with that. Dude, I know, I get it. But we got to be holy. That's the whole point, right? To save his life, the same wicked man shall die in his iniquity. Some of y'all going to die in your iniquity because you're not paying attention and you're not listening. But his blood will I require at thy hand. If you don't warn, the Most High going to require blood at hand. But let me go on and read a little more, right? Let's go to 19. Yet if thou warn the wicked, and he turn not from his wickedness, nor from his wicked way, he shall die in his iniquity, but thou hast delivered thy soul. Brother Yacoba, brother, minute to tell you, we delivering our souls. You can't say we ain't warn y'all. You ain't say we ain't tell y'all. I'm going to tell you this straight up. You don't want to hear it because it ain't all fluffy and beautiful clouds and rainbows and cotton, right? All hell going to break loose. Okay. All hell going to break loose. And many people will right there. Oh, yeah. Oh, you ain't got to listen. It's over. You ain't got to listen. Well, Yacoba, when is this going to be? Because you're saying it's over, Yacoba. Give us a timeline, Yacoba. No, I'm not giving you no timeline. Whatever time it is, it's going to happen and it's over. That's what I'm saying, okay? You ain't got to listen to me. But I'm going to tell you what is happening so you can understand and be able to put all these pieces together. Right? Because I'm going to warn y'all so you can turn from your wicked ways. I'm going to warn y'all so you won't be caught up in the judgment. I'm going to warn y'all so that you won't die with the heathens. I'm going to warn y'all because Wonderland is over. Oh, don't get it twisted. You was in a fantasy. You was in an illusion. You was in the Matrix. It used to be called Wonderland. Alice used to live in Wonderland. She was in the Matrix. But let me tell you what's happening. This is what's happening. Pay attention. And we're going to talk about some of this stuff. Clash of civilizations. This is what's happening. This is what's happening. It is a clash of civilizations. This is what's happening. It's all by design. This whole tariff war is by design. The whole war between Russia and Ukraine and the West is by design. China and the West are allies. Why? Because they are all globalists. Everybody's a globalist. And this is a clash of civilizations to bring the world to its knees so that we can go to a new world order. Let's look at this. So the clash of civilization is a thesis. Remember thesis, antithesis. Can we say Hegelian dialectic? The clash of civilizations is a thesis that people's cultural and religious identities will be the primary source of conflict in the post-Cold War world. The American political scientist Samuel P. Huntington argued that future wars will be fought not between countries, but between cultures. Can we say right wing, left wing? Can we say MAGA? Can we say, oh my goodness. Can we say Black Lives Matter? even though it started off right, but we know where that ended up. Who controls and manages Black Lives Matter now? It ain't us. It ain't us. It was proposed in a 1992 lecture at the American Enterprise Institute, which was then developed in 1993 Foreign Affairs article titled "The Clash of Civilizations." In response to his former student, Francis Fukuyama's 1992 book, The End of History and the Last Man, Huntington later expanded his thesis in a 1996 book, The Clash of Civilizations and the Remaking of World Order. So you got to have a clash of civilizations to remake the new world order. The phrase itself was earlier used by Albert Camus in 1946 by Girilal Jane. In his analysis of the Ayodhya dispute in 1988 by Bernard Lewis, in an article in September 1990 issue of the Atlantic Monthly titled The Roots of Muslim Rage, and by Mahdi El-Majira in his book La Première Guerre Civilisationnelle, published in 1992. I don't know if I say that right. I'm not French. Even earlier, the phrase appears in a 1926 book regarding the Middle East by Bassel Matthews. Young Islam on Trek, a study in the clash of civilizations. This expression derives from clash of cultures already used during the colonial period and the Belle Epoque. Huntington began, you know what? Anyway, let me continue before I say that. Huntington began his thinking by surveying the diverse theories about the nature of global politics in the post-Cold War period. Some theorists and writers argued that human rights, liberal democracy, and a capitalist free market economy had become the only remaining ideological alternative for nations in the post-Cold War world. Specifically, Francis Fukuyama argued that the world had reached the end of history, in a Hegelian sense. We talked about the Hegelian dialectic many times. This is what's happening. I keep telling y'all about it. A lot of y'all don't get it. And that's why you say Jacobo don't have no faith. No, you don't have no faith. Huntington believed that while the age of ideology had ended, the world had only reverted to a normal state of affairs characterized by cultural conflict. In his thesis, he argued that the primary axis of conflict in the future would be along cultural lines. As an extension, he posits that the concept of different civilizations as the highest category of cultural identity will become increasingly useful in analyzing the potential for conflict. At the end of the 1993 Foreign Affairs article, The Clash of Civilizations, Huntington writes, "This is not to advocate the desirability of conflict between civilizations. It is to set forth descriptive hypotheses as to what the future may look like." Now, take into note the idea of DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, wokeism, Black Lives Matter, right? Affirmative action, right? Now it's immigration, right? Take all of these things in with white supremacy, okay? Take it all in with what they're doing today. And what do we have? The formation of this conflict by design, right? That's the difference. It's not normal. This conflict, well, I ain't gonna say it's not normal, but let's say they're pouring gas on the flames, right? They're pouring gas on the flames to make it hotter. Let's put it that way, right? So in addition, the Clash of Civilizations for Huntington represents a development of history. In the past, world history was mainly about the struggles between monarchs, nations, and ideologies such as that seen within Western civilization. However, after the end of Cold War, world politics moved into a new phase in which non-Western civilizations are no longer the exploited recipients of Western civilization, but have become additional important actors joining the West to shape and move world history. So they join the West to shape and move world history. Can y'all see the additional conflicts besides what I just mentioned to also include not only white supremacy, not only Christianity, but also the awakening of the Israelites, right? Also the addition of Campianity, right? Also the addition of Islam, also the addition of Buddhism, all of these belief systems that's going to come to a crescendo of conflict, right? We're coming to that crescendo of conflict. That's why some of y'all don't understand what's happening. Some of y'all see the world as black and white. Some of y'all see the world as Republican versus Democrat. That ain't how the world works. That ain't how it works. Let's get it straight. Y'all, if you believe that's the way the world works, you are deceived. Okay? You are deceived. The world and the deception within it is more complex than the average person can understand. Okay? That's why there's generations and generations of y'all know, I'm gonna say it, mind, you know what? Let's just say the nice way. Mind manipulation. Let's say it the nice way. Generations and generations of conditioning for you to believe the world works a certain way. For you to believe that the world is a globe, and I know y'all gonna say, well, you a flat earther. I know I am. I am a flat earther. My whole point is that the reason you believe that the world is a globe is because you've been conditioned that way. Same thing with your belief in how the system works, how you make money, how politics work, but yet you disregard the influence of Freemasonry. You disregard the influence of Kabbalah. You disregard the influence of all of these secret societies. You disregard that there's powers behind the powers that you see. Okay, I know y'all don't believe it. Why? Because Yacoba's a conspiracy theorist. No, Yacoba is an educated brother. Spirit-led, educated brother. All right, let's continue. Huntington divided the world into the major civilizations in his thesis. All right. Western civilization. All right. Y'all can see all that. I'm not going to read all that. Orthodox civilization, the Eastern world, Hindu civilization, the Muslim world, the civilization of sub-Saharan Africa, located in Southern Africa. Y'all see all of those, right? Okay. And the islands, right? So let's continue. Huntington argues that the trends of global conflict after the end of the Cold War are increasingly appearing at these civilizational divisions. War, isn't that what we're seeing? BRICS versus G7 nations or G20 nations? Wars such as those following the breakup of Yugoslavia and Chechnya and between India and Pakistan were cited as evidence of inter-civilizational conflict. He also argues that the widespread Western belief in the universality of the West's values and political systems is naive, and that continued insistence on democratization and such universal norms will only further antagonize other civilization. Can we say that the use of SWIFT and putting these sanctions on countries? Come on now, I'm just saying. Huntington sees the West as reluctant to accept this because it built the international system. So this world order, this international system, the United Nations, was built by the U.S., right? And by the Western powers. Okay, wrote its laws and gave it substance in the form of the UN. Huntington identifies a major shift of economic, military, and political power from the West to the other civilizations of the world, most significantly to what he identifies as the two challenger civilizations, Scenic and Islam. In Huntington's view, East Asian Scenic civilization is culturally asserting itself and its values relative to the West due to its rapid economic growth. Specifically, he believes that China's goals are to reassert itself as the regional hegemon. Now, here's the deal. You have to ask yourself, okay, well, if China's reasserting itself as a regional hegemon, why did the U.S. finance China to become a global power? Why did the U.S. send all its manufacturing to China to make it a global superpower that they supposedly are against at this time? Make it make sense, right? They got all of these think tanks, all of these groups, and you can't tell me that they didn't know. I mean, a common man knew that if you pump money and pump all of your goods that you need and products from China to increase their manufacturing, they were going to come way above us in terms of technology. Then they're going to also come above us in terms of wealth. Why? Because this is not a U.S. versus China deal. This is a global United Nations world order deal. This is a World Economic Forum deal. All of this stuff is an illusion. Don't get it twisted, all right? And that other countries in the region will bandwagon with China due to the history of hierarchical command structures implicit in the Confucian scenic civilization, as opposed to the individualism and pluralism valued in the West. Regional powers such as the two Koreas and Vietnam will acquiesce to Chinese demands and become more supportive of China rather than attempting to oppose it. Huntington therefore believes that the rise of China poses one of the most significant problems and the most powerful long-term threat to the West that they've created, just like the terrorist organizations in the Middle East. Who created those? The same people who created China. Why? To further an agenda. All right. As Chinese cultural assertion clashes with the American desire for the lack of a regional hegemony in East Asia. Huntington argues that the Islamic civilization has experienced a massive population explosion, which is fueling instability both on the borders of Islam and in its interior. Now, doesn't it make sense then if they have this whole increase in population, that what they did over there in the Middle East to them people living in a certain land that start with a G, right, that there's a thought behind this on a global basis, not based upon one Revelation 2939, folks, right? Y'all got to read between the lines. I can only say so much. All right. So Huntington argued that the Islamic civilization has experienced a massive population explosion, which is fueling instability both on the borders of Islam and in its interior, where fundamentalist movements are becoming increasingly popular. Manifestations of what he terms Islamic resurgence include the 1979 Iranian Revolution and the First Gulf War. Perhaps the most controversial statement Huntington made in the Foreign Affairs article was that Islam has bloody borders. Huntington believes this to be a real consequence of several factors, including a previously mentioned Muslim bulge and population growth, and Islamic proximity to many civilizations, including scenic, Orthodox, Western, and African. Now, let's think about this whole Hegelian dialectic thing, right, and how it's being applied on a global basis, right? Look at what America has done with the tariffs, right? Putting 245% tariffs on China, putting tariffs on Canada, which pushes Canada and China together, right? It's realigning the global let's say, nations that ruled the world, right? There's a shift in regional power and rulership, right? Now, if you understand that these people had AI way before we ever got it, right? They probably had AI way back since the 40s and 50s at some level. If they already had that, they already ran these scenarios and these algorithms and these think tanks, and they already knew that, okay, well, if we send all of our commerce and all of our products to be manufactured in China, China is going to become a superpower. Yeah, I mean, come on. That's how America became a superpower. They already knew that the shift was going to be going to China. Why? Because it is a managed realignment of nations. It is a managed reassociation of power, right? Because right now, America supposedly have the power, right? But America is not the enemy to the globalists. The enemies to the globalists is the American people. And that's why what you see on a global basis that look like it's war against nations is really war against the people of those nations. Why? Because they're bringing the world into a more systematic, controlled AI controlled world order, right? This is what's happening. Russia, Japan, and India are what Huntington terms swing civilizations and may favor either side. Russia, for example, clashes with the many Muslim ethnic groups on its southern border, such as Chechnya, not anymore. But according to Huntington, cooperates with Iran to avoid further Muslim Orthodox violence in southern Russia and to help continue the flow of oil. Huntington argues that a Sino-Islamic connection is emerging in which China will cooperate more closely with Iran, Pakistan, and other states to augment its international position. Now, Pakistan currently is with the West. But there's a realignment of nations, especially with the move for Trump to impose tariffs on all these nations. And the fact that Trump is pushing all of these tariffs on these nations is forcing a realignment of those nations. Why? To the more dictatorial, non-constitutional oligarchies. All right. So what you got to understand is that what they're doing right now is all scripted, is all planned. What you see is not what you see. OK, the story that's being painted is not really the story that's happening behind the scenes. All right. So, but y'all get it, right? So there's a clash of civilizations. Now, we talked about this particular, where is this? Okay. There's a story that I talked about before, which is dealing with what we were talking about with this clash of civilization. And this was dealing with a guy named Albert Pike. Y'all remember Albert Pike, right? So, chilling letter written 150 years ago predicted both world wars and a third battle against Islamic leaders. Now, we talked about the clash of civilizations, okay? So, a chilling letter that predicted the First and Second World Wars also claimed a third global battle will be fought between the West and Islamic war leaders. The prophecy was penned by U.S. Army Captain Albert Pike. And most of these leaders are Freemasons. Most of your pastors are Freemasons. Most of your camp leaders are Freemasons. Most of your what they call moderate Israelites are Freemasons, right? Don't get it twisted. There's very few. Do you not know the Bible says in the Apocrypha, and I mentioned this before, is one grape in a cluster of grapes in a big forest that's going to be saved. One grape in a cluster of grapes in a huge forest that's going to be saved. All right. So that tells you a lot. Everybody ain't on Yahuwah's side. Okay. But let's continue. The prophecy was penned by U.S. Army Captain Albert Pike, a Freemason almost 150 years ago, and sent to Italian politician Giuseppe Mazzini. However, some have declared the letter a hoax. It's not a hoax because it all came to pass. Claiming, except for the World War III part, claiming there are no primary sources to prove the document's authenticity. Yeah, but it happened. Okay. That proves it. Dated August 15, 1871, the mysterious letter pinpoints how and why the First and Second World Wars raged in the 1900s. It then claims a third and final battle against Islamic war leaders will have our nation fighting to the point of complete physical, moral, and spiritual and economic exhaustion. Now, you can see what's happening in the Middle East by those folks in the Middle East and the people in that land with the G, ends with a Zah. All right, y'all can see all that, right? He said Christianity will be destroyed and a one world government established. So this is the clash of civilizations that's happening, right? Not only will they destroy Christianity, but they will destroy Islam. They will not only destroy Islam, but they will destroy Buddhism. They will not only destroy Buddhism, but they will destroy the Israelite awakening, right? Because some of the Israelite awakening is nothing but Talmudism, Kabbalah. Some of it is their own made up campianity, right? They're going to destroy all of these. The only ones that's going to stand is the ones who are on the narrow path of Yahusha, on the narrow path of the word is law. The word is my guide. It orders my steps. Those the only ones who are not going to be saved. Why? I mean, going to be deceived. The only ones who are going to be saved are the ones who follow Yahusha. Because what's happening is there's a conflict that is designed through the use of MAGA, right? Christianity, MAGA, which is the far right. And then you got the liberal left, and some claim to be Christians. Then you got this whole middle ground of campianity and people who claim to be awakened Israelites who are Freemasons. If they're not Freemasons, there's some form of some other group that is, what they call New Age, right? So he said Christianity will be destroyed and a one world government established. You can see that now, right? You can see it, with Christian nationalists. You can see that everybody's hating the right wing. Everyone is hating the MAGA. Everyone is hating Christians. Why? Because Christianity is white supremacy. Come on, let's just admit it. I don't care if you're a black person following it. Christianity is not the Bible's what you call religion. Christianity is not the belief of Yahushua and of the apostles and of the prophets. It's not. Christianity is an offshoot of that. Just as, I ain't going to go there because I'm going to get in trouble. Just as the religion in the Middle East, y'all know, Revelation 2:9, is an offshoot of the Bible. This is why I'm telling you this whole thing is most people going to be deceived. Most people going to be manipulated. Most people ain't going to make it. Y'all too busy attacking tail ministries for being honest, but hey, that comes with the territory. According to the book, Pike's letter suggested World War I would take place to overthrow the czars in Russia and make the country a fortress of communism. Now, remember, this happened. This was written before World War I, and that's exactly what happened, right? It then told how World War II would destroy Nazism so communism could overthrow weaker governments. That happened too, didn't it? He also predicted a sovereign state of Israel would be instilled in Palestine. Did that not happen too? Okay. It allegedly stated the First World War must be brought about in order to permit the Illuminati to overthrow the power of the czars in Russia and of making that country a fortress of atheistic communism. Now they're Christians, right? They're Orthodox Christians. Well, according to Elder Pike, Christianity going to be destroyed. The divergences caused by the agents of the Illuminati between the British and Germanic empires would be used to foment this war. At the end of the war, communism would be built and used in order to destroy the other governments and in order to weaken the religions. The Second World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences between the fascists and political Zionists. This war must be brought about so that Nazism is destroyed and that the political Zionism be strong enough to institute a sovereign state of Israel and Palestine. Now, here's the thing. Nazism was not destroyed. Nazism is here alive and well in America under the guise of white supremacist Christianity or Christian nationalism. Nazism is here. Did you not see Elon Musk do the Nazi salute? I'm like, do you not see this current administration implementing a lot of the same policies that guy who ruled Germany did? I'm like, come on now, let's get real. Y'all don't get where we're at. Y'all don't see it. Most of y'all don't get it, right? During the Second World War, international communism must become strong enough in order to balance Christendom. What? Balance Christendom, which would be then restrained and held in check until the time when we would need it for the final social cataclysm. So they need Christianity, right, to foster the final social cataclysm. Now, let me know, family, is that not what's happening today? Yes or no? Yes or no? Is that not what's happening? Is not right-wing Christianity, Christian nationalists, whatever you want to call them, is that not what's happening today, not only in America, but worldwide? Is being used for the final social cataclysm. Chillingly, Pike then predicted a third world war, which he said must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences caused by the agents of the Illuminati between political Zionists and the leaders of the Islamic world. And can we say Christianity as well? Because they are Christian Zionists. Don't get it twisted. He continued, the war must be conducted in such a way that Islam, the Muslim Arabic world, and political Zionism, the state of you know what, mutually destroy each other. Are we not on the forefront of this? Can we not see this with the issue with Iran? Right? Once again, Albert Pike is hitting the ball out the park. Either this is scripted or he a prophet. He ain't no prophet. Meanwhile, the other nations, once more divided on this issue, will be constrained to fight to the point of complete physical, moral, spiritual, and economical exhaustion. They're going to wear us out. We shall unleash the nihilists and the atheists, and we shall provoke a formidable social cataclysm. Can we say conflict? Can we say a clash of civilizations? A formidable social cataclysm. Can we say a clash of civilizations? Which in all its horror will show clearly to the nations the effect of absolute atheism, origin of savagery, and of the most bloody turmoil. This is why they having them folks hate us. They having us hate them. They having the Asians hate us. They having everybody hate us. They having the Mexicans hate us. Why? Because we not defending them because they getting pushed out the country, right? Everybody mad at everybody else. Why? Because this is the final cataclysm. Then everywhere the citizens, who? The citizens obliged to defend themselves against the world minority of revolutionaries will exterminate those destroyers of civilization. Are they not destroying civilization based upon the civilization that we grew up in? Is that not what's happening? And MAGA is upset, the ones who voted. The left is upset. The African Americans upset. I'm gonna do a distinction between African Americans, which is non-awakened Israelites, and Israelites themselves, which is the awakened Israelites. Is not everybody upset with what's going on? The reduction of financing, for health care and for the schools and the jobs and all of this stuff. The removal of DEI, affirmative action, taking us back to Jim Crow laws and probably redlining. Is everybody not getting frustrated and tired and worn out to the point of exhaustion? Are you not exhausted, family? Are you not tired? I hear it every day. I'm tired. I hear Israelites all the time say, I'm tired. I want to get out of here. I'm ready to go. But guess what? It's not that simple. It is not that simple. So then everywhere, the citizens obliged to defend themselves against the world minority of revolutionaries will exterminate those destroyers of civilization and the multitude disillusioned with Christianity. Can we say white supremacist Christianity? Can we say Christian nationalism? Whose deistic spirits will from that moment be without compass or direction, anxious for an ideal, but without knowing where to render its adoration. Everybody gonna be tired, completely exhausted, no food, minimal food gonna be too high. You're not gonna be able to pay for your rent. People gonna be homeless on the street. You're not gonna have free speech. People gonna be exhausted. There's gonna be this revolution. Some people call it civil war. They're gonna be exhausted. No direction because Christianity let them down, Islam let them down, the people in the Middle East religion let them down. They will receive the true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer, brought finally out in public view. What is that going to be, family? Do what thou wilt is the whole of the law. That's Luciferianism. You could do what you want. You can be A, B, C, D, E, F, G. LMNOP, right? You could do what you want. You like robots? You could do what you want. Luciferianism gonna be like Christianity is wrong. The religion in the Middle East is wrong by them folks. Revelation 2:9-3:9. Islam is wrong. Buddhism's wrong. All religions are wrong. And guess what? You know what that's gonna lead to? No religions. Can we say communism? But it's not going to just be communism. It's going to be do what thou wilt. And they're going to worship Satan. They're going to worship Apollo. Because it's going to be do what you want. Look, all of this is scripted. But some of y'all don't have the eyes to see. Why? Because you don't have the spirit to guide you. Why? Because some of y'all ain't living right. Some of y'all not asking the Father to reveal the truth to you. Some of y'all are liars, thieves, whoremongers. Some of y'all alcoholics, drug heads. If the shoe fit, then wear it. If it don't fit, don't wear it. This manifestation will result from the general reactionary movement, which will follow the destruction of Christianity and atheism, both conquered and exterminated at the same time. So Christianity is going to be destroyed. Even atheism is going to be destroyed. All religions are going to be destroyed. Why? Because they're going to be do what you want. They're going to worship Satan. Satan said, do what you want. I ain't going to judge you. God know the day that you eat of this fruit, you're going to be like gods, knowing good and evil. That's what they're going to tell you. They're going to tell you that you are a god. That's the new religion. Oh, yeah. They ex-brother yesterday, there was a person on Facebook saying they're God. But you can't determine your life tomorrow. You can't determine whether or not you're going to breathe tomorrow. You can't determine whether or not you're going to eat tomorrow. But you God? No, you're not God. There's only one God. There's only one Elohim. It was claimed the text was once on show at the British Museum's library, but mysteriously removed in the 1970s and never seen again. However, the British Museum and British Library state there is no record of the letter being the establishment possession. But yet, what was written has come to pass. Come on now. What was written has come to pass. So what we're seeing here is manufactured. All of this. Y'all want to see some acting. Y'all want to see some good show. Y'all want to see some good entertainment. Let me show you some good entertainment. So you can see the dialectic being played, because this is conditioning of the mind. This is why you can't tell people anything, and they're not going to listen to you. Why? Because their minds are under the control of Satan. Their minds is under the control of the matrix. Their minds is under the control of the conditioning over generations from mommy to daddy to children. And it continues today.
Our IGs to do that further investigation. The House and Senate, we had a 5-year statute of limitations. We've got an extension on that, another 5 years. And so the goal, in my opinion, we should never have a statute of limitations to return the American dollars back to the Treasury when there's fraud. But at this point, we will continue to work hard and double down and return those dollars to the Treasury.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. Great job. You see?
Well, Mr. President, thank you for your leadership at the border. For the second month in a row, you have broken the record in the history of the nation for the lowest number of encounters at the border, which is absolutely remarkable. You have said that America's laws matter and that they'll be enforced, and we're hard at work now to get people to go back home that are here illegally. So the Alien Registration Act has been in place long enough now that those individuals that are here illegally, if they haven't registered, then they can be charged criminally, and they can face fines up to $1,000 a day and face deportation if they don't go home, and they'll never get the chance to come back to America. So we're encouraging people to use the CBP Home app to register, and we're working on the resources and funding to buy them a plane ticket to send them home. I went to El Salvador, Colombia, and Mexico, and those countries and others are thinking about setting up programs to support these individuals when they get back to their countries. So when they get there, they'll have housing and food assistance. And so making sure that these folks have the opportunity to go home so that they can get the chance to come back to America is important. And
So it's a very big self-deport operation that we're starting.
thousands of people have already
Yeah.
self-deported. Well, we're just going to, when you have 21 million people that need to go home.
21 million people that need to go home. She sucked up real good in the beginning, huh? Because she knows, Trump has an ego, so she suck up to him. They all suck up to Trump. $1,000 a day if you don't sign it, fill out that CBP app and self-deport. How many of you Israelites gonna end up with your names in that app with that CBP report? Oh yeah, y'all might end up in Africa, but y'all not gonna flee. I know, I get it. But hey, I don't know what I'm talking about.
Because they're here breaking our laws, then we need to facilitate that. And I've been working with the governors a lot lately on several different issues. One of them has been on FEMA for recommendations on how to do exactly what you've directed us to do. And then also I sent a letter and communicated with them that they need to be setting up a SCIF. Some of our governors don't have secure facilities to have national security issues. I think one of the jobs Homeland Security has is to give communication down to states, to local cities.
So let me pause it there right quick, because they said that they're going to deport them, right? They got to self-deport, right? They got to self-deport. And, you know, Tail Ministries, once again, been teaching this for what? How long? I get beat up for what? Being right. That's what I get beat up for. I get beat up for being right. I got people who just jealous. You know what I'm saying? They're just jealous. Jeremiah 50:16, cut off from Babylon the sword. Can we say the immigrants who pick your food and your fruit and stuff and veggies? Come on now. Cut off from Babylon the immigrants who pick your fruits and your vegetables. And the reaper with his sickle and harvest. Let's get rid of the immigrants. Because of the sword of the oppressor, let everyone return to their own people. Self-deport. Let everyone flee to his own land. Otherwise, they're going to charge you $1,000 a day. And you might go to jail. And you might not be able to come back to America if you don't self-deport. Come on now. Tell me that's not happening. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Some of y'all still don't get it, right? I mean, like I say, I always say this. The Bible says flee. The Bible said that people going to leave. The Bible said because of the oppressor's sword. Is that not what ICE doing, right? Come on now. Is that not what ICE doing? Threatening these people, rounding them up, threatening to send them to certain camps and detention centers that's not in the country. So they got to flee to their own country. Come on now. But Yacoba don't know what he's talking about. Yacoba teaches fear doctrine.
And communities. And so recommending they get a SCIF, they have secure comms with them at all times or nearby so that they can have national security conversations, and then to have somebody in their office designated that is their communications person. A lot of them have emergency management officers, but they don't necessarily have somebody designated when it comes to a national security issue that we may need to communicate with them on. And I think American people need to know that Real ID will be required to travel on May 7th. So those governors have been notified.
So Real ID going to be needed to travel on May 7th. Do y'all have your Real ID? Some people not even getting the Real ID because they're not letting them get the Real ID. I don't know why, but that seems to be the case. Good luck enjoying the 2025. Good luck having a job. Good luck being able to afford food. Do y'all know cucumbers is $1 a piece? Right now, it's going to be more than that. But hey, they're telling us that all of this stuff is temporary. Do y'all believe that's temporary? Do y'all believe this stuff temporary?
Notified to communicate that at home. We don't want anybody to get delayed and not be able to travel when they get to an airport. And this will also help us bring integrity back to all of our IDs and how they're used for issuing driver's licenses. And governors know how I feel about making sure their driver's licensing system has integrity, because a lot of people use their driver's license to vote. And the backbone of our country and the foundation is election integrity. So we're giving all those directions to our governors and communicating that so they can lead on it as well.
And we're going to work with people so that if they go out in a nice way and go back to their country, we're going to work with them right from the beginning on trying to get them back in legally. Is that right?
So he's going to work with them to get them back in the country legally. Y'all believe that's going to happen? They ain't coming back. They're already looking to replace them with children. And I'm sure that's temporary till the AI and the robots get in there and start harvesting fruits and veggies and all this stuff. But guess what? There's not going to be humans interacting with your food anymore. So then they can do whatever they want because ain't nobody going to be able to tell you they're doing something to your food. Oh, yeah, don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. Y'all don't know how bad it is. I can't even tell you how bad it is. But hey, Yacoba's teaching fear doctrine. Yacoba don't have any faith. Why? Because he's warning you. He's warning you as the Bible tells him to, so that you don't be caught up in the judgments on his nation.
So it gives you real incentive. Otherwise, they never come back. They'll never be allowed once a certain period of time goes by, which is probably going to be 60 days. We're also going to work with farmers that if they have strong recommendations.
You know how you know a lot of them people not going to be allowed back in here? And let me give you something in case you don't notice. How many blacks you see at this meeting? I'm just saying. How many minorities do you see in this meeting? I'm just saying. Good luck coming back, y'all. You ain't coming back. I told y'all in the end, all of this is for us. They're chopping down the pillars of the Constitution. They're chopping down the pillars of structural law. So that when they come back to you and say birthright citizenship, y'all gonna say, well, yeah, but the Constitution protects me. It's in the 14th Amendment. It says that I'm a citizen. You can't do nothing to me. Well, guess what? If people don't obey, right? Just like when they told him bring that guy back, right? I'm not gonna mention his name, who they sent to El Salvador. The courts told him, they said, nah, he's in international area. We don't have to bring him back. Yeah, but the courts told you to. See, once you start doing like Hitler, there are no more laws. There's going to be new laws. Don't get it twisted. The Constitution is just a piece of paper.
Nations for their farms for certain people. We're going to let them stay in for a while and work with the farmers and then come back and go through a legal process. But we have to take care of our farmers and hotels and, various places where they need the people. And we're going to be working with you very carefully on that. So a farmer will come in with a letter concerning certain people saying they're great, they're working hard. We're going to slow it down a little bit for them. And then we're going to ultimately bring them back. They'll go out. They're going to come back as legal workers. Okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Which I think will be I think it's very important to do. Okay. Thank you very much. Great job. Jameson, I watched you testify for the last couple of days. You're on every night at 3:00 in the morning. And you did great. You were fantastic. Thank you very much.
It's just what I like to do for fun, sir. You've been keeping us very busy. Last week, you.
All right, so we're gonna move on from that. There's more I could talk about on that, but I told you so far, like I say, I got a darn good track record. I don't care what nobody say. They coming after us. I told you we are the targets. They have to remove the pillars, the observable pillars of justice and law before they make a move on us. And they're going to make you sign that BPP Act.
President Trump's efforts to end birthright citizenship are heading to the Supreme Court next month. The case will not decide the merits of birthright citizenship itself, but rather whether the administration can enforce the executive order. Joining us now with analysis on this is CBS News legal contributor Caroline Polisi. Caroline, good morning to you. Can you help us understand the focus of these arguments and what we should expect to hear from both sides?
Yeah, that's right, Errol. As you mentioned there, the issue actually is not whether that executive order that President Trump signed his first day in office, which did rescind birthright citizenship, which has been a main tenet of this country since even before the ratification of the 14th Amendment, whether or not that executive order will be held to be unconstitutional. The actual issue that the Supreme Court decided to take up next May is this. We've heard a lot about this issue of so-called universal injunctions by district courts throughout the country that have paused some of these more controversial executive orders from taking effect due to underlying issues regarding their legality, whether or not a district court judge can essentially make that decision for the entire country. It's going to be interesting because obviously the underlying issue will be at play here. But there have been a majority of justices on the Supreme Court that have expressed some concern with this practice that, the talking point is being employed more and more by these lower district court judges across the country.
And so, Caroline, what is at stake here then if the justices do side with the Trump administration in ways large or small? And when might we get a ruling?
Yeah, so May 15th, we'll hear oral arguments. But again, the underlying issue has to do with whether or not the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution, which states that anybody born or naturalized in this country and subject to the laws and jurisdiction thereof, will be granted citizenship regardless of the citizenship status of their parents. And so that obviously, if the court sides with the Trump administration, what they're asking for is allowing states to move forward with implementing this executive order, which would not recognize the citizenship of people born in this country from parents that potentially are not citizens. And that would
So I believe that Trump might win this. He could win this. And the reason why he might win this is because he's correct when he says that this was intended for descendants of slaves. So he could win this. Now, understand, my viewpoint is not the traditional path towards determining through the courts and through going to U.S. District Court, then going to the Supreme Court, that you can overturn or stop certain things, or remove the constitutional amendments through what they call it, the congressional, what they call that when you overturn a new constitutional amendment or whatever they call it. Yeah, what's the word, family? Where they meet, all the states come together, to vote against, to amend the Constitution. I forgot what you call it, but y'all know what I'm talking about. Constitutional amendment or whatever. I don't know. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make here is that if you go through the normal legal process, they couldn't get to us, right? Because we are defined within the Constitution as the people who are protected by the 14th Amendment, right? And through case law, it only applied to the Negroes as well, right? So that was the intent of the law, not for immigrants. Now, so he could win that. My whole point is that, once again, is removing a pillar at a time, the pillar that upholds the Constitution. Why? Because what upholds the Constitution? What upholds the Constitution is the people's belief in it, right? It's the people's belief in the Constitution, and then it is the governmental system that enforces those laws, right? But it's the person with the GUN that really makes the laws, right? So in the end, what's really happening, in my opinion, is the conditioning of people's minds, assuming, hello, hold on. Okay. I think I had a hiccup there. Y'all hear me, right? Give me one, you hear me. What's happening is a conditioning of the people's minds that the birthright citizenship no longer applies first to immigrants, right? Now, the 14th Amendment was implemented so that Negroes, descendants of slaves, could be considered citizens to overturn the Dred Scott decision. But think of this for a second, because I know how they work. let's say for all conscience sake, there's a false flag or there's an emergency, state of emergency or martial law, right? Then constitutional protections are no longer there, right? Right? Y'all get it, right? If martial law was declared for some unknown event, then there is no constitutional protections. Now, with that said, if there's no constitutional protections and martial law is declared, then they could still go back to the Dred Scott decision, which says that Negroes, descendants of slaves, have no right to be citizens. Y'all see what I'm saying? If martial law is declared and the Constitution is suspended, then they might end up going with case law because there is no Constitution. Y'all get what I'm saying? Give me one if you get what I'm saying. If it's making sense. Give me a 2 if it's not. Give me a 3 if you don't know. Because through martial law, your constitutional rights are suspended. I mean, not constitutional law, martial law. With martial law, your constitutional rights are suspended. Now, maybe I'm overthinking things, but theoretically, if the Constitution is suspended through martial law, they could go to case law and say Negroes ain't got no rights because the Constitution suspended, because we're under martial law. So y'all got to put your names in this CBP app and deport yourself, or else we're going to charge y'all $1,000 a day. I'm just saying, I could see it, right? I could see it. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's going to happen that way. I think it's a probability, okay?
Criminals are you planning on exporting to El Salvador? And President Bukele, how many are you willing to take from the U.S.?
As many as possible. I'd like to go a step further. I mean, I said it to Pam. I don't know what the laws are. We always have to obey the laws, but we also have homegrown criminals that push people into subways, that hit elderly ladies on the back of the head with a baseball bat when they're not looking, that are absolute monsters. I'd like to include them in the group of people to get them out of the country, but you'll have to be looking at the laws on that, Steve, okay?
Can he legally do that?
Of course not. What he's saying is we'll have a constitution-free zone. Yes, there are terrible criminals here, but that doesn't mean you can torture them, for example. That's an 8th Amendment violation. That doesn't mean you can violate all the rights. And that's exactly what he's suggesting. We'll do a constitution-free zone where we send them to our buddies to torture them, and nobody can contest it in the United States. It's pernicious. This is really, even in this case, an abomination of a day with both those suggestions, Boris. I know you can hear it from my tone, but it is way, way beyond the pale and just contempt for the Constitution and rule of law.
How many illegal criminals are you planning on exporting to El Salvador? And President Bukele, how many are you willing to take from the U.S.?
As many as possible.
Just had to play that for you again. If you think I'm extreme, if you think what I'm saying isn't dire, as many as possible. Who? U.S. citizens. What? Send y'all to CCOT. But Yacoba is teaching fear doctrine.
Americans in federal and state prisons get ready to go to El Salvador.
Initiate its return and stay in prison if El Salvador decides to do so.
This is international matters, foreign affairs. If they wanted to return him, we would facilitate it, meaning provide a plane.
President Trump also says the Attorney General is looking into whether the law allows deporting U.S. citizens. That's right, black citizens. He want to send y'all to. I don't know what the laws are. We always have to obey the laws, but you don't obey no laws. Criminals. I'm all for it. Because we can.
African Americans in prison, y'all getting ready to learn how to speak Spanish.
And have great security.
Y'all going to El Salvador.
Another Columbia University student involved in anti-Israel campus protests has been arrested and detained.
Oh my God.
Wilson Madawi is a lawful permanent resident.
Oh my God.
He was arrested at his naturalization interview in Vermont. And Gabe.
So some of y'all think it ain't gonna happen, right? But here's the deal. Like I said in the beginning, the Constitution is just nothing but a piece of paper. It's those who enforce the laws are the ones who really make the laws or decide not to enforce the laws. If no one enforced the laws, laws are just pieces of paper. Some of y'all don't think that this can happen because you're a citizen. That's why they always, when they say America this, American citizens that, they don't include you in it because they never saw you as a citizen. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. We're in a dire situation. Don't get it twisted.
Possibly the most authoritarian, scariest thing that Trump has done. He signed 2 executive orders targeting individual Americans by name and directed the government to investigate them for the crime of criticizing the regime.
And said that, I think treason. It was treason, throwing that around.
A crime punishable by death.
Right.
I'm not sure why this is not a bigger deal. Obviously, there's been a lot happening this week, so I understand that there's limited bandwidth. But, I think if you're talking to like reporters about this, maybe other Democrats are not talking about it, they would say, well, no one's investigated them yet. They still may. In this version of Trump, there's not a lot of let him talk and then we'll just let it fade away. It's like he talks and people do what he says. Even if they never charge him with crimes, the entire goal here is to scare the living daylights out of anyone who wants to criticize the administration, essentially to penalize you for free speech, which is fucking ironic given the free speech warriors who surround this president and what he talked about in the campaign. Individual Americans by name. He signed a piece of paper directing the Department of Justice to investigate an American for the crime of criticizing the president.
And for telling the truth about the 2020 election.
Ain't nothing to see here. Jacoba just teach fit doctrine. Huh? Don't worry about it. Ain't nothing going to happen. You're not going to have to flee. I'm waiting on God. I'm waiting on the Most High. Okay. I believe his word. That's why I prepare. I'm in preparation. That's all I got to say.
Homegrown Americans are next to go to El Salvador. Tells Bukele, got to build about 5 more places. To clarify, the president of the United States just asked the president of El Salvador live in the Oval Office on a hot mic to build him 5 more prisons because he's going to be sending United States citizens to fill them. Of all the things you have heard the Trump administration say and do over the course of last few months and their first term, this is by far the most disturbing. Not 15 minutes later, when asked by reporters directly if he had ever thought about the idea of sending U.S. citizens to El Salvador prisons, he doubled down. Trump said, and I quote, "I'd like to include them in the group of people to get them out of the country, but you'll have to be looking into those laws." I made a video earlier about the Kilmar Garcia situation. This is the man from Maryland who was mistakenly deported to El Salvador by the Trump administration. The Supreme Court ruled 9-0 that the U.S. government needs to facilitate his return to the United States, and the Trump administration said no. Earlier, I made the point that the Kilmar Garcia case was the test case on the U.S. deporting United States citizens to El Salvador. And now we have evidence of this from the spray tan mouth of Mango Mussolini himself. Things are getting really crazy. Stay tuned, like, following.
A lot of stuff going on, fam. I just don't see how most of our people still got their heads in the sand, right? Still don't think America Babylon. Still think it's the Vatican. Foolishness. I did a little test. I ran a little algorithm with AI. And I had AI do an analysis based upon the attributes and what the scripture says is going to happen in Jeremiah 50. And I made sure that my prompts included that it must understand that in reference to Babylon, it is America. And I told AI, I said, AI, he said, yes, Jacoba. I'm just joking. But I said, give me a percentage of these prophecies and compare them to the current world news of what's happening in America. And give me the percentage that this prophecy, assuming that Babylon is America, is being fulfilled right now. And give me the list of the ones that have been fulfilled and the list of the ones that haven't. Y'all want to know what the percentage is that AI told me that the prophecies of Jeremiah 50 is happening? Y'all want to know? Let me know. Let me say yes or no. Y'all want me to tell you what the percentage is? Not that high, Rob. Because there's a lot of stuff still that has to come to pass. But you know, it was 60%. It was a 60% fulfillment of the prophecies of what's happening in America. It didn't give me a higher percentage because there's still some outstanding prophecies like the invasion of the kingdoms from the north and their allies. The guys that are fighting for Babylon being like little women and don't want to fight no more, right? But do y'all know 60% is a little more than it's more than a guesstimation. It's more than a guesstimation.
About pizzas being delivered to judges' houses. And that says what? I know where you live. Mm-hmm. Then there was an escalation of these acts of intimidation and threats. And that came in pizzas being delivered to their kids' homes. Mm. That says, I know where you live, mm-hmm. and I know where your kids mm-hmm. live. Mm-hmm. Well, just this past week, just this past Monday, I learned that pizzas were being delivered to judges. And the sender on the order form, they were ordering online, sure. was Daniel Anderl. My son is now being used to really send threats mm-hmm. to judges. And that is just so painful as his mother. And Mark, my husband, and I were just trying to wrap our heads around this idea. Now, before I got here, I was advised by U.S. Marshals that there were more pizzas delivered in Daniel's name. We're up to 10 and counting. This is not getting any better. And so when people are trying to weaponize my son and his legacy to send out threats and acts of intimidation against judges, that's totally against what Daniel was. Mm-hmm. He was love and light. And so I'm here to encourage our leaders, Republican, Democrats, Independents, to be champions for justice, to speak up. He had heard.
So these judges were receiving pizza, this particular judge, and there's some other judges. And understand, they have gotten notices that this is happening to many judges, that they're getting pizzas. Why? Why are they getting pizzas? It's not pedophilia. The reason is because you either rule with this administration or else. Can we say Gestapo tactics? They are being threatened to rule in favor of the administration. They don't want Garcia back because either Garcia no longer on this earth, or they don't want him back because he's going to tell all of the dirty details that's happening at CCOP. We in trouble, y'all. I don't care what nobody say. You foolish if you think we're not in trouble. They are threatening the federal judges. And the U.S. Marshals are not protection. You know why? Guess who pays the U.S. Marshals? The executive branch. Y'all don't think we already have a constitutional crisis? I told you. You ain't got to believe me. It's over. If you threatening federal judges, it's over. The rule of law is over. Forget it. Put a fork in it. It's done. So this particular person next, I sort of agree with her to some extent. Listen to this.
I don't think that Project 2025 is the only manual. I think that's the published manual on how to become a dictator 101. I have evidence that there is likely another one. I have never been nervous to make a video, even about sensitive things that could, I guess, quote unquote, get me in trouble, but this one has me anxious. There's a lot of men who are really great creators on this app that do the same thing that I do, and they have millions of followers. But I think if you really want something done right, you have to let the ladies do it.
Yeah, I know it's low family, but you know, that's how she recorded it. So if y'all could turn up your volume, I suggest you do it if you can. If not, do your best.
So here we go, but fair warning, this video will just abruptly cut off. There's going to be a part 2. I'm filming this intro after I've done the meat and potatoes. Just like last night's videos on CCOT, I'm using, again, a prestigious university's research library, and specifically, this is a research paper that comes out of the Pontificia Universidad Católica de Chile. So this whole thing, again, has been translated from Spanish into English, so if there is some weird language, that's why. This is not going to be something you can just find out in the Google space. And here's the front page as a receipt, just so you all know that Sonia Wolf actually conducted this research and that this is entitled El Salvador under Nayib Bukele, the turn to electoral authoritarianism. This is what I believe the United States is about to become specifically. Not necessarily a dictatorship, not a monarchy, but an electoral authoritarian state. We will talk more about CCOT specifically, but we need to start by understanding the relationship between President Trump and President Bukele of El Salvador. See, President Bukele has actually achieved what Donald Trump wishes to, so this is the playbook. But how did President Bukele achieve this? El Salvador is known for its gang activity. It is awful and monstrous, and we don't have any concept of what that is like as Americans. President Bukele decided that he was going to confront all of the gang activity with something that he called the Territorial Control Plan, which has never been publicly published. This plan was allegedly very community-based and included the use of a militarized public security strategy. That was until the last weekend of March in 2022, when gang members killed 87 Salvadorians, and President Bukele decided that he was going to declare a state of emergency. Just to be clear, going to the text here, the state of emergency suspends the constitutional rights to freedom of association and assembly, to counsel, to privacy and communications, and to being informed of the reason for one's arrest. This is where we start paying attention to this information as the playbook that exists in addition to Project 2025. And this is why I'm so cautious about protests in today's 2025 version of the United States, even though I do catch a lot of flack for it. In addition to the state of emergency, President Bukele also engaged in other legal reform, which also included the expanded use of pretrial detention and lowered the age of criminal responsibility for children accused of gang-related activities from 16 to 12. That means 12-year-olds could actually be arrested, not told why they're arrested, thrown into any of these detention centers, and then eventually be tried as adults. Since all of this happened, this researcher suggests that there have been 77,000 Salvadorians arrested. However, they do note that there is a lack of public clarity on these statistics. So this model has been in place. The state of emergency remains. And quite honestly, the people in El Salvador are very supportive of President Bukele because they feel safer, because gang activity is falling. So now let's talk about what an electoral autocracy really is and what its core dilemma is. Salvadorians really supported President Bukele's efforts in terms of just going after all of these gang members and lowering the age of adult criminal age to 12 and all of these other things. They were seeing an improvement in their communities and they just felt safer. And quite frankly, the danger is not as great as it once was. So you would think that President Bukele would lift that state of emergency. But as of 2024, it was announced that the state of emergency would stay in place and not be lifted until all of this gang violence and all of this gang activity was, quote, completely eradicated. And so right now, they essentially have a dictator in President Bukele because this state of emergency still is in place, much like something like martial law. Are you following? But President Bukele is in a little bit of hot water because he wants to maintain this electoral autocracy. And as a result of the gang violence and gang activity going down, there is less and less of a justification for the state of emergency. So for him, the crisis cannot end. This is where we have to go a bit further back in time and look at other electoral autocracies, because in 2012, something similar was happening. And people who want to be this version of dictator have no problem sacrificing their everyday citizens. So what happened in 2012 was that the homicide rates were going down, gang activity was going down. So leaders in El Salvador decided that they were going to cut a deal with the gangs. And as a result, murders escalated.
So if you listen to what she's saying, I mean, you can see the same thing happening here, right? It's pretty much almost identical. Not with the gang so much, but as the threats of the Venezuelan gangs, right? It's the same excuse for this hardline attitude against immigrants. And then it's going to be the same thing with us. Now, think of this for a second, right? Think of how the whole issue between Carmelo, right? Carmelo Anthony and, the Metcalf kid, right? How all of this can end up making things work worse, let's say, between what they call black folks and right-wing MAGA, KKK, Christianity, all that kind of stuff, right?
And our witnesses come out and spoken about what actually happened. He said he was there with his daughters and they were under the exact same tent as Carmelo. He said, first of all, it wasn't on school property, so that could explain why the school couldn't provide video. It was a community track meet, and the kids bring something to clean their cleats. So that could explain why Carmelo had the knife. He said Carmelo was sitting there on his phone. Austin and his brother wasn't even under the tent. He said they came from a totally different tent. They walked up to Carmelo and started picking with him. He said words were said back and forth. Then they grabbed him and started punching him. He said they jumped him. They jumped Carmelo. Now, I don't know about y'all, but 2-on-1 ain't no rules. He said then Carmelo goes in his backpack, gets his knife, and you know the rest that happened. This would explain why Austin's dad is speaking the way he's speaking, because he knows his sons are at fault. It's a tragedy that a life was lost in this situation, but according to this eyewitness, it sounds like it was self-defense.
Whether it was self-defense, we don't know. But let's say Carmelo gets off. If Carmelo gets off, what do you think the right-wing KKK Christianity folks going to do? What do you think the Klan is going to do? What do you think the MAGA supporters going to do? Right? This is now. Personally, I don't think he's going to get off. I really don't. I pray that he gets off, but I don't think he's going to get off. Why? Because this is Texas, right? This is Texas, and Texas is racist, simple and plain, right? I mean, I've dealt with that so much. I mean, I would say this, that the racism here in Texas isn't as bad as in Louisiana. The racism in Louisiana is a lot worse. But, I've dealt with my racism, here, and discrimination. They're telling me about the northern aggressors and all that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, you can't shake me. I'm like, they try to provoke you, right? And I'm like, you can't shake me. I grew up in Louisiana, man. I'm like, shoot, y'all kiddies when it comes to racism in comparison to Louisiana. And I think Louisiana is kiddie in comparison to Mississippi, right? But I'm like, if all you could do is tell me about the northern aggressors and think you're gonna provoke me, I'm sorry, you got to do better than that. I did have a boss one time tell me about Sambo and his friend called Sambo. I'm like, dude, you got to do better than that. Trying to provoke me about your friend Sambo. You assume I know who Sambo is, but yeah, I did. But you can't provoke me. I'm not that easily provoked. I mean, I've been dealing with racism since I was here, right? So I'm like, y'all got to do better than that. But they pew-pewing us in the streets. They're removing affirmative action. They're gonna redline us. They're gonna get kick us out of the job. They're doing all this stuff, right? So when Trump comes with that CBP app and say, look, y'all sign this, else we're gonna charge you $1,000 a month because y'all not citizens because the Constitution is suspended. So therefore we going by case law. I don't know how that's gonna work for you because, like I told you, he who has the pew-pews make the rules, right? Laws don't matter. He who has the pew-pews make the rules. So there's a lot of changes going on. And I'm just going to show a part of this just so you know, we're not in Kansas anymore, family. We're, Wonderland is over. And not just in America, but the world.
In the Australian state of New South Wales, called the Conversion Practices Ban Act 2024, allows religious expression and prayer as long as it isn't, quote, directed to changing or suppressing an individual's sexual orientation or gender identity. CBN's Billy Hollowell is here to discuss. Billy, what were your initial thoughts to this law?
My initial thoughts were, what in the world is going on? But I think we know what in the world is going on. We're watching prayer sort of be attacked in these really bizarre ways in different countries, right? You're seeing this happen in Europe, with silent prayer in certain areas outside of abortion clinics with these buffer zones, and you've seen people getting arrested. In this case specifically, what's so wild about this particular law, the Conversion Practices Ban Act of 2024, as you stated, is that if you go to the government's website there, they have a whole explainer about this law, and they say that the act does not prohibit prayer. Okay, it says that plainly, but then it says, however, praying with or over a person with the intent to change or suppress their sexual or gender identity is unlawful. So it's almost like 1984 because it's saying, oh, we don't prohibit prayer, but then it says, well, actually we do if you're trying to do these things. And what is so crazy, I want to read one more line for you. It says, it is unlawful even if that person has asked you to pray for them to be able to change or suppress their sexuality or gender identity. So it goes even further to basically say that if that person has come to you and they want help in that area, you cannot pray with them over those things.
I think it's hard for people in the state.
So, one of the issues when it came to prayer happened in the UK recently with someone, just praying in their mind in front of an abortion clinic, right? Not out loud, but in their mind. And she got in trouble for that. And that's what we're dealing with today, right? Is lawlessness, is corruption. Now, I don't know how many of you all know that King Charles, he's supposed to be, let's say for all purposes, the high priest of the Anglican Church. But guess what? He's converted to Islam now, right? So now you have more favoritism in the UK towards Islam as opposed to Christianity. Not that Christianity is much better, right? Other than the fact that believing in Yeshua is the most important thing. But, once again, the religion of Christianity is not the religion, or let's say the belief of the scriptures. It's not the belief of the apostles, right? So let's continue. So there's a lot of things happening, and you can't even go on the continent and think that you're going to escape anything, right? Because the whole world is being conditioned and taken over, and geopolitically, realigned, right, with the globalist agenda, right? It's like I say, right? It's like I say, unless the Most High steps in, we lost, right? But we know we didn't lose because the Most High says we're going to win, and he says we're going to go back to the land. But
for the last 2 years. Let me play you this video, this clip, and then I continue telling you what I have been saying.
To another story, the U.S. government now wants Rwanda to withdraw its troops from DRC and that the M23 rebel group lays down its arms. The United States has made it its business to bring peace to the Democratic Republic of Congo as it seeks to cash in on its minerals.
Announced in a press briefing on Thursday that the U.S. and Congo were pursuing a minerals deal.
President Tshisekedi and I discussed a minerals deal. Of course, we need a more stable environment to achieve this objective.
President Tshisekedi has been dangling the carrot of minerals at President Trump in a strategy to outsmart President Paul Kagame.
The U.S. position is that the M23 must lay down their arms and Rwandan forces must withdraw from the DRC. The United States does have quite a bit of tools at its disposal that it can and will use if need be.
The DRC is possessed of 70% of the world's cobalt and coltan, critical to the powering of smart devices.
Following our discussions with conflict participants, M23 pulled back from the town of Walikale.
The European Union called for withdrawal of Rwanda's troops from the DRC and an end to cooperation with M23. The European Parliament called for the suspension of its minerals deal with Rwanda.
So for those of you who have been following my YouTube channel for a long time, you know I've been saying that Rwandan troops have always operated in Congo. They are the ones attacking people in Congo, taking territories and pretending to be M23. Let me give you a case example. During the time when the city of Goma fell into the hands of the Rwandans, it is said that close to more than actually 8,000 Rwandan troops crossed the border from Rwanda into Congo at night. During the day they took their city. There are drone footages, there are satellite imagery from Maxar. We have evidence at the UN Security Council to basically support that claim. And according to MONUSCO and also the SADC troops that were there, they said that they were being attacked by Rwandan troops, not this M23. Because the M23 were attacking from the south, the region of Minova. They were trying to use the lake using smaller boats to attack from the south. But most of the fighting was coming from Mount Nyiragongo, where the Rwandan troops were attacking from. So that is a good example that Rwandan troops actually took the city of Goma. But then when they saw cameras from journalists, they quickly hid and retracted their troops and let these few 200 or 100 M23 be the ones showing their faces on these cameras. So that's how the world has been lied to. But of course, the US knows. That's why they're telling Rwanda to pull out their troops. And Uganda was also working with Rwanda the same night they took the city of Goma. And the same story. Uganda has been told by Washington to pull out their troops from the Congo. Now, yesterday, Uganda pulled out more than 2,000 troops from the city of Butembo, which is located north near the Lake Albert. They have also withdrawn from the city of Bunia. Now, Uganda had gone to Congo pretending to be pursuing rebels that carry out cross-border attacks into Uganda. But the truth is they were trying to take Congolese territory. Now they've pulled out their troops because the US has told them that we have evidence that you are working with Rwanda to take Congolese territory.
Ugandan troops deployed under bilateral security agreement with Kinshasa have long played a key role in containing insurgent groups in the east. The government in Kampala wants them there to help prevent cross-border attacks, with groups like the Allied Democratic Forces, or ADF, seen as a major threat.
So from those videos, you can see that these are happening in real time. These are things that are happening right now. And we cannot unite as Africa with leaders like Museveni and Paul Kagame in Rwanda, who are still beholden to the old ways of hating other tribes. They still think that Tutsi people are superior than Bantu people. They still think that light-skinned people are more superior than dark-skinned people. That is the kind of wars that are happening in this region, in East and Central Africa. We still have tribalism because of these people. Now look at East African community. which is a trade bloc, an economic bloc that is made up of Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, Burundi, Congo, Rwanda, South Sudan, and Somalia. The trade bloc wanted to unite these countries to try to basically create a common tariff on their borders, to even have a single visa, allowing for visitors, just like Europeans have the Schengen visa that if you applied for a visa for Italy, you can go to other EU countries on the same visas.
All right, so I'm gonna leave that there. The reason why I showed that is because if you notice, which I didn't know, Uganda is there helping Kinshasa, and Rwanda supposedly behind M23. Now, as far as propaganda, I disagree with that. It's not propaganda. I believe that what we have, and we've always had, is a contest for the promised land, right? A contest for obviously the resources, and that all of the world's powers are involved there. Now, one of the points I want to make is that what we're seeing here is a realignment, right? And which I was surprised that the DRC made a deal with Trump, right, to help protect them and secure the area. So, promising the West their resources. And so, they're allowing the colonizers back in. But what I see happening, and once again, it's all a dialectic, is going to be a global war, right? It's coming. It's coming. It's not too far away. Africa's going to be on fire. The Middle East is going to be on fire. America's going to be on fire. It's going to be bad. Why? Because just as we saw with the Clash of Civilizations, as we saw with Albert Pike, right? This is a cultural clash. It's also monetary, but Albert Pike says that the world is going to be brought to a point of total exhaustion, right? And so Christianity is going to disappear, according to Albert Pike, and all of the other religions, right? And so they're going to bring them to the worship of Lucifer, which is, do what you want, do without will. And so what we have right now is this conflict of civilizations, and a clash of civilizations, and it's by design. It's by design. So what I'm gonna do right now, fam, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna put the link out there. I want to get some of the family's comments, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let you on one at a time, make your comment, and then put you behind, put you out. So we're not gonna stay too long, but make your comment, and then once you finish, I'm gonna kick you out. So I'm gonna put the link there if you want to come on and comment. See what y'all think about all this stuff. Like I say, personally, I mean, I don't see, I don't think there's much time left. That's relative, right? But based upon what I'm seeing and, looking at the chess moves, it's going to get bad. I would say this. Like I say, I'm no prophet. This is my opinion, and people want to get beat up on me for my opinion. But my opinion, I think it's going to get hot. However you want to look at it, it's going to get real hot by the summertime. And then by the end of the year, you're not going to recognize America. Let me put it that way. By the end of the year, you're not going to recognize it because there will be no stability. There will be no stability. And let me see your face real quick, Timmy, because I don't remember you being on. You may have been on before, but I don't remember. So I think by the end of the year, and once you show your face, you can hide it. But I think by the end of the year, there would be no stability, right? And I think we're going to be in some type of state of emergency, if not martial law. And if that's the case, then the Constitution is not going to protect you, right? I mean, to be honest with you, it don't protect you now, right? So yeah, so let me see. Okay. All right, I'll bring you on, Henry. Timmy, you're gonna have to show me your face, otherwise I'm not gonna bring you on. Hello, Henry. Okay, I'll bring you on, Timmy. You can hide your face if you want. Unmute yourself. Okay, well, she hit her face. I mean, disconnected. All right, Timmy, welcome.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Hi, how you doing? Praise
I'm doing
Yah.
good.
I'm doing fine. Been a long time. Good. I'm still here in Kuwait. I'm kind of happy that I'm missing all the craziness that's going on in America, because it's going crazy. I'll probably be back in the summertime, around July. But I just wanted to say, you know, um, you know, I pray for everyone safety and everything, and I'm praying that I get back there, I don't run into any issues, housing issues. I know that a lot of people are getting fired. I know, the prices are getting crazy and everything. I just pray that when I get back, it's a smooth transition. And also, so before I went to my deployment, my wallet was stolen and everything, and it's tied to my PayPal. Is there any type of way that I can make payment towards you guys, like Zelle or something? Because I don't have any way to use my PayPal because it's access to my card, and that's been shut down.
Yeah, I mean, the only options we have is on our website. If none of those work, then that's it. So Timmy, where are you right now?
I'm in
You're in the
Kuwait.
military,
I'm
right?
still on base.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm still on base and everything. We recently had like some scares. We had to go to bunkers because of that situation with Yemen.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So, I'm not I have really, I'm neutral when it comes to us to the Middle Eastern, but also from my understanding, we need to keep in mind that with the Arabs and the Persian, they also enslaved us. I'm not in favor of what Israel is doing, but we have enemies in different sides. I'm not sure if you listen to a guy named Irritated Genie. He's one of those people who does expose, the what do you call them, the false Jews, whatever. And I recently had to step back from him because he had he if I wasn't exposed to him, I would have not been exposed to you. But the problem with him is he's anti-God, and he became anti-God when he's a brother. He's an Israelite, but he doesn't believe in that. He stuff had to happen to him where I started noticing he started preaching a lot of anti-God stuff. So I had to step back from him. But a lot of his information is good because it um a, a lot of the stuff that kind of connects to what you're speaking about. But his focus is mainly on how the Jews and their control of society. But what he there's a lot of stuff that because he's so focused on them that he missed. Yeah, the Jews are an issue, but a lot of these old families um you know have ruled before these Khazarians started to take control. And you need to understand that it was the Catholic Church who accepted these Khazarians, and also they came on scene. You know,
Yeah,
they're not.
yeah. And somebody
Their
said say
history is
ish or
not as
something like
long as
that,
some of these
right?
old.
Instead of hold on one sec. Instead of saying like, just say
Yeah,
ish or whatever,
yeah,
or yeah. But go ahead.
ish people. Yeah, yes. But my apologies. I forgot that one. I just remembered that you exposed that was going on with the laws that you're trying to push with the protect the ish people. My apologies. Yeah. So yes, he was very influenced. He influenced me a lot. But the problem with him is he started becoming anti-God. Now, I want to warn Black people that there are a lot of Black movements that expose a lot of things, but just because they tell some truth, that don't mean that you should always follow them. Because this guy, Irritated Genie, he is one of those people who follow Egyptology. He's like those um the worship of the Egyptian gods and all that weird stuff. When I actually called up in the show and I was trying to explain biblical truth, he kind of shut me down, and so that made me back off of him. Um, the information that he has spread, and he actually traveled to Africa exposing like the homosexual agenda that they were doing here. Um, and the reason why a lot of African countries have fought against that so hard was actually because of him. Like, if you do your research, he was the one who did seminars and lecture throughout different parts of Africa, particularly in Uganda, Tanzania. That's why they are so anti that right now, and why they're fighting against the government. It was because of him. But something happened to this man that, he never really was anti-God when he started out. Something happened to this man. I know a lot of those ish people started attacking him a lot because he was doing big expose on them, and it was catching a lot of heat and a lot of attention, and they had to some way shut this man down. They actually took his visa away from
So
Barbados
let me ask
because
you let
they
me
were
ask you
trying to put, I guess,
this.
a homosexual person.
Yeah, let me ask you this. What does he have to do with what we were talking about today?
Go ahead.
Yeah, what does he have to do with what we were talking about? Because this seems sort of be extraneous.
Um, he really didn't have nothing to do. I do apologize. I went on a tangent. Um, he really didn't have nothing. It was just something that I brought up because there are a lot of leaders who are exposing certain things, but I just wanted to warn Black people not to get tied to them, even though they have some truth, because um, they might send you down like the wrong path, because a lot of them don't really they speak truth, but they don't do it through God.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Timmy. I appreciate you coming on. All right. Bye. Brother Robert, welcome.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, how you doing, Brother Robert?
I'm doing good. I got two things. One, let's stick to the point. The point is DRC. Number one, Trump is doing that because he wants to be ruler of the world. He's got his eyes on the Gaza, and what better place to have than Africa? See, basically, he's trying to shut down. John Mahama is signing with Russia, so to speak, which will
What,
give
Ghana?
yes, which will give
Okay.
a port. See, because basically the Sahel were isolated. They needed John Mahama to come over in order to open up the port for them. So now the DRC is right next door, so they need to have Trump in there with his little military group to try to destabilize everything again. So that's kind of like, I just found this out not too long ago.
So let me ask you this, Brother Robert. Based upon what I'm seeing, there's a huge realignment of allies and alliances that's happening both on the continent, both in Europe, Asia, everything. What's your thoughts to this in terms of why this is happening so quickly? And I mean, look like it's Trump with his tariffs causing a lot of this, but what's your thoughts?
Well, Trump's tariffs is a double-edged sword. It cuts going in, cuts coming out. What he's trying to do is destabilize China. China has internal problems right now. Most people don't know about because China is very private. But I watch the internet, and it's called China News. It's on there. And they got these two guys that used to live in China. Both of them married Chinese women, two white guys. One of them South African. I guess both of them are South African. But anyway, excuse me. They give the real deal. They say that China is very corrupt. It's a corrupt country. There's a lot of stuff going wrong. And matter of fact, these people have been working for free, slave labor, for over 6 months and haven't been paid. So I believe that Trump is trying to destabilize. I know if you watch some of the internet and a lot of the TV, it'll say that China's beating us in a tariff war. But I do believe Trump is winning on this one, even though I don't know. Well, actually, I do know. It's has a lot to do with the new money. And the new money, you know about it, is the crypto thing. Digital money. That's all. It's all set up. So basically, he has to collapse the old system in order to get the new system to come in.
Oh, I agree with that. I agree with that. All right. Anything else, Brother Robert?
No, man, it was good talking with you. And this is to put a bug in your ear.
All right. Thanks for coming on.
Okay. All right. Bye.
All right. Appreciate it. Brother Fast Nickel, how's it going?
Hey, Brother Yakova, how are you?
I'm doing all right.
I normally wouldn't come on, but I wanted to come on because when you're showing these videos, I think what people do is they look at this stuff that's going on, and I think they think that these people are actually putting this stuff into place. I don't think they're realizing, because we've talked about this. This is all a script. Like we're looking at, they want you to look at Trump, but the higher powers that be put all this to place. And what's so interesting, like the tariffs, I did a video yesterday talking about how the tariffs are all a smokescreen. And
yeah,
part of how you realize that with the video I showed yesterday, Scott Bessent, who is Trump's Secretary Treasurer, he, along with George Soros, did the same thing that Trump is doing now back in '92 to kill the British pound, and that's how George Soros made $1 billion. They're just reenacting the same scripts. Like none of this is actually like when people look at what's going on, you've got to start with, hey, what's the agenda? And let me let me reverse engineer it instead of looking at what they're doing and because they want you to get emotional and make irrational decisions. And you really can't do that. You have to really kind of dissect the diabolical plan at hand. That's just my
I mean, I agree with you. And let me ask you this, Brother Fast Nickel, because, you know, what's been happening in the markets lately and crypto and stocks and all this stuff, what do you think is happening with that? I mean, is this all part of the collapse, or, you know, I'm thinking it's part of a managed collapse. What do you think?
It's part of a managed collapse. And the thing, so one or two guys that I listen to has been saying the same thing that I'm listening to. And they're basically saying, if you're only in dollars, you're going to get wrecked. Because you know what's interesting? Earlier on, you were talking about the 2030 agenda, and all Charles Klaus was talking about is you'll own nothing and be happy. And that's actually, now you actually see what they're doing. They're trying to make you so broke that you can't afford to have anything, so that you have to accept their universal basic income. You have to do what they tell you. If you're not thinking ahead and preparing like we're doing, you're going to be forced to accept what they give you because you have no other choices. You didn't listen.
I agree. So, I mean, I think we don't have much time left, whatever that means, right? That's just my opinion. So, all right. Thanks, Brother Fast Nickel. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, Brother Reggie, how's it going?
It's going real good. The first thing I want to say is that I thank you all these many years that I've been watching your show, while listening to your podcast, because it has made me even more aware of what's going on around the country and what's going on around internationally. I've spoken with some people on my job, and I have been trying to tell them that they need to invest in cryptocurrency. And I've been trying to tell them that they're getting ready to do away with the fiat currency, and that the only way you're going to be able, whether you think it's part of the beast system or not, which I do, I believe it's part of the beast system, but in the short term, they need to invest in cryptocurrency, because that might be the only way they're going to be able to buy anything when this whole transition takes place. Minister Yacoba, I think about it all the time, and I think about this trade war that's going on with China and the rest of the other nations around the world, and I just got this feeling that, you know, all these countries that Trump is making an enemy out of, they're going to attack us. And I think that when they attack us and they destroy America, or destroy the infrastructure of America, I think that when it's all said and done, they're going to build those 15-minute cities when they start to rebuild what was lost here in America. You understand what I'm saying? I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but that's kind of what I feel like they're going to do. Like, we're going to get hit, and then instead of them building the cities back and the little towns back, they're going to build these 15-minute cities, and they're going to set up this new world order, this AI technological system where everybody's going to be on universal basic income. And the people that do have a job, they're going to work for the corporations, and everybody's going to be pushed into these 15-minute cities. And if they try to protest, or if they try to come out against what the government is doing, they're going to lose their jobs, and they're going to be put out of the 15-minute cities. They are going to lose their universal basic income and be put out of the 15-minute cities. And this is what I think is going to I don't know if it's true or not, but that's how I feel things is getting ready to happen. And before I end the call, I just wanted to know, is there any way I can get Fast Nickel's either email address or some way that I can get in touch with him? Because I don't know his email address. Is that possible?
Yeah, Brother Fast Nickel, can you put your email in the chat so Brother Reggie could get it if you're still listening? Otherwise, if he don't put it in there, just send me an email, Brother Reggie, and I'll send you his email.
Okay, what's your email? Is the End of the World Ministries?
It's TEOTW.
Yes.
7101
71
at gmail.com.
gmail.com. Yes, sir. But that's
so brother Fast Nickel put his link there. Do you see it?
I'm on my Safari right now, so I'm not able to see. Wait a minute, let me see if it's on the chat real quick. Hold on.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna let me see if I could copy that.
Yes, I see it, sir.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
cool.
But I just wanted to thank you for I pray for you all the time. I pray that the Most High keeps you strong, keeps you knowledgeable, just fills you with whatever information that He fills you with to keep us informed about what's going on, so that we can prepare. And I appreciate that so very much.
All right, thank you, Brother Reggie, for coming on. I appreciate it. All right, fam. So y'all could go to Brother Fast Nickel. There's his link right there. If you want to learn about crypto, stuff like that. So the point of, a lot of my end times teaching is being informative, so that you all know what's going on, so you can make rational decisions. And you have a lot of people, like I say, that are gaslight you, that's gonna accuse you, like that crazy drunk booty clapping ugly dude that's been attacking Tail Ministries and others. He's foolishness, right? He's foolishness. He don't even know what he's talking about. It's all nothing but ad hominem attacks, right? I mean, that's all it is. He's foolish, right? And he's lewd, and he's an alcoholic, and he's a womanizer. I mean, I don't even know why people listen to that dude. But anyway, I digress. I'm not going to spend time on that foolishness. Just to let you know that whatever you do, seek the Most High, because, that particular person I was talking to, he's not even a believer, even though he says he's a Baptist, right? He's not a believer. He lives like a heathen. And you don't want to live like a heathen, right? Because this is the time of judgment. I don't care what nobody says. A lot of people not going to make it. You can believe that you're going to make it, but you don't know unless the Most High says so. So prepare as if you're not going to make it. Prepare as if, things going to be rough. Prepare for water shortages. Prepare for food shortages. Prepare for electricity interruptions. Prepare for the need to flee, right? Prepare, get your passports, like I've been telling you, right? Make plans where you want to go. I don't care. Look, I don't care if you go to Africa. I don't care if you go to Europe. I don't care if you go to Asia. That's on you, right? You need to understand that the climate in America is no good. The climate in America is no good. Yeah, O'Shea Duke Jackson. He nothing but a booty grabbing, clapping nigga. That's all he is. He's foolishness, right? He's foolish. He's an idiot. But anyway, nothing but a lot of lies and ad hominem attacks. I ain't even want to talk on it, be honest with you. I'm trying to move away from that foolishness. Booty clapping. That's all he got. Booty clapping. Oh my goodness, what an idiot. And if I wanted to, I ain't gonna lie. If I wanted to, I could come out with some stuff. Oh yeah. But I'm trying not to go there. I ain't even want to talk about it. See what y'all did. See what y'all did. But anyway, I'm trying to mature, family. Y'all got to help a brother mature. Y'all got to help a brother mature. I'm trying to mature around here. I'm trying to be the bigger man. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying not to go there no more. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to be good, y'all. I'm trying to be good. Y'all got to help me out. But anyway, fam, that's all I got. Yeah, I think he's an agent. But I'm trying to be good, family. I really am. I'm trying to be good because these are the time of trials, right? And these are the time for the true men and women of Yahuwah to live like the true men and women of Yahuwah. This is the time of being without spot, blemish, or wrinkle. This is the time to shine, because there's a lot of people who are falling away from the faith. And there's a lot of people that they are deceiving themselves. There's a lot of people who are being led by the nose by Satan. There's a lot of people who are being led towards the New World Order. It's as I said before, according to the scriptures, there's very few that's going to be saved. Understand that when we talk about what's happening, it's not for you to be scared. It's for you to prepare. It's not for you to fear. Why? Because the Bible tells you what to do. See, that's the difference between me and a lot of people. I believe the Bible and I act on it. If the Bible tells me I'm going to have to flee, then I prepare to flee, whether or not I flee now or I flee later. I make preparations. If I see the signs of the prophecies and the judgments happening on this nation, as I've been teaching for over 10 years now, right, then it would be foolish of me not to take some kind of precautions for me and my family, right? So understand that it doesn't matter what the heathens do. It doesn't matter what O'Shea says, right? Because he's a heathen anyway. Right? This is the time for us to walk uprightly and to live for the Most High, because nobody, look, I'm gonna tell you this, a lot of people not gonna make it. I keep telling y'all that. You ain't gotta believe me. Right? And I think people don't understand the type of dire situation that we're in and the chess moves that are being made. And there's a lot of, let's say, deep chess moves that the common person can't see, right? And, you know, as the Bible says that the Most High spoke in parables because it was given for us to understand and not them. And this is why you have some people that reject the Messiah, right? This is why some people no longer believe in who they call God. This is why they believe in themselves as God. This is why they reject the divine, yet they cannot create a baby. They cannot speak a baby into existence that come into being through, you know, the union between the male and the female. They can't do any of these things, right? Understand that what we're dealing with today is beyond our control, but we can make preparations, right? If you put your head in the sand as you see these things happen, you will be caught in it. So like, let's say tomorrow, for some reason, you can't go to, you know, they close the stores or the electricity shuts down, right? And you didn't make any preparations. You might survive, but it might be very difficult. And then you might have to rely on the government to help you with some GMO foods, right? Some non-pure water, right? You might have to go to a FEMA camp, right? You don't want to do that. And so you got to understand that we must be able to discern between the truth and a lie. Those who are for the Yah and those who are against for the Yah. And the scripture says what? You will know them what? By their fruit. You haven't seen any bad fruit from this ministry. You don't see nothing coming out about Yakoba tipping and dipping or, you know, doing like what's happening with the camps. You know, you ain't going to get that here. Right? Because like I say, it's a truth ministry and it doesn't matter because I understand that as a truth ministry, I'm going to be attacked. So that's why I'm maturing. You know, I still comment a little bit, but Yakoba trying to do better and trying to move on and trying to focus on what's important, which is the restoration of the nation of Israel. Because one thing I do understand, this is my opinion. The only way Israel is uniting is through a miracle. Oh, yeah. I don't see no political avenues. I don't see no backroom deals. I don't see everyone consciously, normally waking up, sort of how we all woke up to be in Israel. I don't see the Gentiles waking up in mass to that. I don't see it. What I do see is supernatural manifestation of the Most High's power and glory on his people and judgments on our enemies. That's what I see. I don't see no way for us to get out of this other than the Most High himself intervening and delivering us. Now, I don't believe that Yeshua, the Messiah, is coming back physically on the earth yet, but that doesn't mean he's not going to send his angels. That don't mean he's not going to send another Moses type figure. That don't mean that he's not going to, cause fire to fall from heaven and consume men. I'm telling you, I'm expecting supernatural miracles because I don't see no other way out. We're screwed if you in the natural, right? If you're in the natural, we're conquered. There's no way out. They've subjugated us. They've turned us against each other. They have Israelite black infiltrators. There's the Uncle Ruckuses and female Uncle Ruckuses, and our community is corrupt, right? We don't love each other no more as a people. We're a mixed bag, right? We're a melting pot now. We're not Israelites. We're not black folks. We're not African Americans. We're nothing anymore, right? Why? Because they subjugated us. They then subjugated us, and we don't even like each other no more. We don't even marry each other anymore. We want to marry the white woman, and we want to marry the white man, and we want to marry the Asian. You don't want to marry the black girl. You don't want to marry the black man. Why? Because we've been subjugated mentally. And we're not coming together through natural effort. It's not going to happen. We're not going to all wake up and decide to treat each other right. We're not going to all wake up and say, I love you and I'm going to treat you with respect and love. It's not going to happen. Why? Because we're infiltrated. We're infiltrated by those who claim to be believers. We're infiltrated by those who are atheists. We're infiltrated by those who are Freemasons who look like us. It ain't happening through natural means. That's my opinion. It's going to be the supernatural manifestation of the Most High, and he's going to deliver us from Egypt, this modern Egypt, just like he did with the first Exodus. Now, I do think we're going into the wilderness soon, but it's going to be supernatural. That's all I got to say, fam. You can eat it. You can spit it out. You can enjoy it. You can love it. But I'm going to tell you this. These be the times that you need to be ready. Your heart need to be ready. You better be living right. You better not be doing like Sakari. You better not be doing like Gorilla Hebrew. Oh, no. Y'all keep playing. You ain't going to find that here. You better not be doing like O'Shea Jackson. You better not be doing. He's a heathen. Watch him. Listen to him. Go watch his videos. Go watch what he talk about. Booty clapping. Go ahead. But y'all won't believe him with his lies and his half-truths. I'm just saying, I ain't want to go there. I ain't want to go there again. I'm just saying that you have to walk the narrow path. If you want to get out of this thing alive, I'm not trying to scare you. You got to walk the narrow path. Why? Because it is the righteous who's going to be saved, according to the scriptures. According to the scriptures, it's the righteous who are going to be saved. If you're not righteous, you won't be saved. I'm just telling you. And most people are not going to tell you that. Why? Because they want followers. I don't care about followers. I care about the Most High, and I care about my people, and I care about the restoration of us as a nation. I care about us loving each other. I care about us being holy and righteous. I care about us being the people that we used to be, at least minimum. When I was growing up, black folks loved black folks. I mean, we had issues, but we stuck together. That don't exist no more. When I grew up, we used to go to skate country and all we saw were black folks. When I grew up, we used to go to the barbecues. All I saw was black folks. When I grew up, there was a black-only section at the lake. And it was good. Now we have no identity, no culture. We don't love each other no more. We don't care about each other no more. Half of them are 304s, and half of them are gangsters and thugs. But the Most High is judging. And nobody gonna warn you. There's very few that's gonna enter the kingdom if you read the scriptures. So y'all got to get it right. I ain't got time to be playing. I want to hear, well done, thy good and faithful servant, coming to my rest. I want to see my people restored. I want to see the two sticks coming together. I want to see us back in Jerusalem. You know, the fight gets to be lonely sometimes, you know. It gets lonely being one of the few channels that teach the uncompromising truth, regardless of how it affects us or me. It gets exhausting when people attack you when you're trying to help your people. It's exhausting when people lie on you. It's exhausting when people tell you, you know what, Jacoby, we like everything you do, but we don't support you. You didn't learn more at this channel than you ever learned anywhere else. Don't get it twisted. I know this. Why? Because the Most High gives me revelation. But it's all good. Because I do it out of love for the Most High and out of love for my people. That's it. That's it. That's my motivation. I ain't trying to get your money. I ain't trying to steal nothing from you. Those who've been here with this ministry for years, y'all know Jacoba. Y'all know Minister Teyu. Y'all know us. That's why I had this one joker on my Facebook. I blocked his A. I blocked him. I'll block you quick. And he told me, he said, Jacoba, yeah, I don't know who right or who wrong, because I don't know who to believe. But I'm going to be praying for you. And it's about the whole O'Shea stuff. And I say, you know why you don't know? I say, you know why you don't know who's telling the truth? I say, you know why you don't know who's telling the truth? I say, because you don't want to know the truth. I say, you don't want to know the truth. I'm like, nigga, you've been watching this channel and been with this ministry for how many years? This nigga been around for a long time. And you going to tell me you don't know who's telling the truth? Get the heck out of here. Get the heck out of here. You don't know my heart by now? You don't know this ministry by now? Get the heck out of here, nigga. Excuse my language. Punk. I'm sorry, family. I'm sorry. I'm like, you been around, this nigga been around for like almost 10 years. I'm like, you don't know what to believe? Get the heck out of here, nigga. That ticked me off. It'd be different if you was a new person. You only been around for like a few months or a year, but nigga, you been around almost 10 years. Get the heck out of here with that crap. That's why I blocked his, you know what? I'm trying to control myself. But it made me mad. It's like I told y'all, what you see is what you get. Some of what you see might be good. Some of what you see might be flawed. But it is what it is. You know I ain't lying to you. I ain't putting on. Jacoba. I told you I ain't no pastor. My heart is right. And I'm trying to control myself. I'm trying to control myself. But if you don't know me by now, after all these years, unsubscribe, turn us off, remove your friend links, go away. If you believe all that BS over there at O'Shea, GTF. I'm sorry, family, but they made me mad. I ain't want to talk about it, family, but they made me mad. At least I am who I am. What you see is what you get. I'm not putting on, and some of y'all don't like that, right? It's one of my issues because they like to try to use my flaws against me. I have flaws. I'm not saying I'm perfect. They like to use my flaws against me. I'm flawed, family. I'm flawed, but I'm not sinning purposefully. I'm trying to live holy. I'm trying to be obedient. I'm trying to be truthful. I'm trying to be a good example. Between Yakoba, Yexa, my ABL is going to be. I'm going to tell you how it is. Yexa, my boy. I like Yexa, yeah. Me and Yexa may not agree on everything, but I like Yexa. Yexa passionate like me, and Yexa is about truth. I see the truth in him. I like him, I like Yexa. Y'all may not. I like Yexa. That's my boy. But anyway, fam, that's all I got. Love y'all, family. Love you with the love of the Messiah. Peace and blessings, Israel. Your captivity is ending. If you want to support this ministry, you can by becoming a patron. You can give Cash App $TOTW 7101. Y'all could also buy my book, Minister Tell You's book. You can also pray for this ministry, because believe you me, I need it. Minister Tell You needs it. And we all need some prayer. If you do anything, you could give me a like as well. But I'll take the prayers. All right? Peace out. Well, family, the wait is over. The moment has arrived where truth emerges triumphant from the shadows of history. Introducing the true Jerusalem, the lost kingdoms of the Israelites, the groundbreaking work by me, Yakoba Vale, a journey into the past that reshapes the future. I cut through centuries of misconceptions with piercing clarity. This book delivers a compelling case packed with evidence that commands attention and gonna get some respect. Come with me for a second, family, and discover how these thrilling civilizations flourished, protected by towering highlands and sustained by advanced engineering. Some have asked, where is Jerusalem? Is it the land in the Middle East? I say no. It is in the highlands of Ethiopia. With hours of groundbreaking research, this book brings in a new revelation, and it will transform your understanding of African history and its connections to the ancient world. It's going to remove from your mind the conditioning by the Romans of what has really happened to our past. Come with me, family, to the Ethiopian highlands and find out why this is our land. Why things have been hidden and obfuscated for centuries. We are royalty, children of the Most High. What kind of land do you expect us to have? Dried up dirt in the Middle East, or land flowing with rivers? A land full of beautiful animals flowing with milk and honey. Don't miss out on this monumental unveiling. Grab your copy today and stand on the side of truth. Visit Amazon.com or www.tailministries.com to purchase your book and join Yakoba Vale's teachings on Tail Ministries. Family, your journey to a hidden history has now begun. So family, get your copy of True Jerusalem, the Lost Kingdoms of the Israelites today. Journey into the heart of Africa, where history and legend converge to reveal the forgotten kingdoms of the Israelites and the true location of Jerusalem.